It's been a full moon tomorrow, and we thought of highlighting a little talked of temple, but one rich in history. In the Kagala district is the Kottavehera or the Sutigaradagaba, which means the place of birth. It is where King Parakramabāhu the Great memorialized his birth, when his mother, Queen Ratnavali, gave birth to him in approximately 1153. It is said that the birth was predicted to his father, King Manabharana, in a dream. With that snippet of some of this island's rich history, welcome to Kaleidoscope with me, Savithri Rodrigo. Our partners on the program keep us positive, daring, different. A big thank you to Skills for Inclusive Growth, Srilanka Life and CDB. You are surely the best. If you like what we have for you, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.
Did you know you can open a digital fixed deposit with just 5,000 rupees? Open a CDB iDeposit digital fixed deposit today. CDB, your friend.
This is our weekly roundup on CDB Snapshot. Sri Lanka's year-on-year exports rose by 12.9% in the first 7 months of this year to $7.68 billion, while year-on-year imports declined by 24.8% in the first 7 months to $11.32 billion. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's trade deficit dropped significantly in the same period to $3.6 billion from $4.9 billion. The brain drain continues, with July recording 23,000 departures for foreign employment, with a total of over 163,000 departures this year. Foreign worker remittances increased marginally to $279 million in July, compared to $274 million in June. For the first time in history, the new British Prime Minister Liz Truss's new cabinet doesn't have any white men in the 4 most senior posts. And Junas, the oldest known two-headed tortoise, celebrated his 25th birthday this week.
World of risks and obstacles, we are there to help you reach your goals. With 12 billion rupees worth of customer benefits in 2020 and a life insurance fund worth over 100 billion rupees. Our strength is your strength. You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Srilanka Life.
Welcome, you're watching Srilanka Life News Capsule. The ILO and IFC have been working on an ambitious industry-level intervention called Better Work Sri Lanka to strengthen local industry for increased resilience, efficiency and sustainability. One of the industries in focus is apparel. With me is a regular on our show, Secretary General of the Joint Apparel Association Forum, Johan Lawrence. Johan, the apparel industry is known to have a good handle on the triple bottom line and a very holistic look at sustainability. So how is the Better Works OHS intervention going to add value to the industry?
The ILO and Better Work recognize that the situation in Sri Lanka is quite different, and we didn't need the same kind of intervention that is done by the Better Work programs in other countries. So what they've done is worked with us on a bespoke program targeting training of trainers, particularly around the OSH area. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to interact with the Better Work team. It's going to start allowing us to build in those learnings, because the OHS area is a vastly very quickly moving space. So what the Better Work program will do, will widen what we're doing. It'll add value from the inputs that will come in from the Better Work team specialists, and it'll help to keep this message going and to help drive the OSH agenda through the factories.
So very briefly, how do you think the Better Work pillar of helping address gender diversity and inclusion in the industry, which includes harassment in the workplace and also women's health, how is that going to be included?
The program is essentially a bipartite program. So it's within the factory, within both employees and employers. But what will also happen is you're starting to build better social dialogue. You're starting to build a process of openness, a process of conversations, and all of this will help to address some of the issues that sit in the background where people are reluctant to come forward and so on. So what we will do, I think, is help to build a platform from which we will look at certainly the other issues as well. We're also looking at working with the IFC on their Respectful Workplaces program. So there's a lot that's happening in this space, and this is all about building capacity within the factories and also giving employees confidence, giving trainers the ability to talk about these subjects. So it's going to help just by bringing it all to the table.
So let's check out our markets this week. News from the Colombo Stock Exchange. This week, the All Share Price Index moved up by 3.4%, with the average daily turnover at a healthy 4.6 billion rupees. China's crude oil imports were 1.1 million barrels per day, lower than a year ago, and exports lower than expected, leading to WTI oil falling below $83 per barrel. An ever-resilient US dollar led to gold prices being subdued and at near one-year lows at $1,719 per ounce. Necessity is truly the mother of invention. Tina Lobo has a background in finance and a passion to curate aesthetically pleasing, highly functional and eco-conscious baby products. She became the first in Sri Lanka to innovate silicone baby products under her brand True by Tina, and she is part of the Accelerate Her 2022 cohort.
I started True out of a passion and desire to want to create these little teethers and rattles for my own little one that had very specific tailored design aesthetics that were completely safe and non-toxic and eco-friendly. The aim was to become more of an inclusive brand that is inspiring our audience, parents, caregivers, even non-parents. It became very important for True to be this kind and conscious brand that is building and working more with local artisans and to be able to also give back to the community.
The Pilong Elevator in China holds the record as the tallest elevator in the world, a height at 1,070 feet, with a backdrop of majestic sandstone mountains and breathtaking views that are believed to have inspired the 2009 blockbuster Avatar. Now, don't miss out on your chance to learn to speed up your reading. Let us know and we'll give you a speed reading program with Sanjeev that you can follow from wherever you are in the world. We'll be back with Sujit Khan on S4IG. Let's talk. After months of uncertainty, the IMF gave Sri Lanka some good news with a staff-level agreement to support Sri Lanka with a 48-month arrangement under an external fund facility for $2.9 billion. However, Sri Lanka is not out of the woods yet. There's much more to be done, and it's not an easy path ahead either. With me today is Sujit Khan, who has worked in public policy for over 25 years in the US, with experience in economic and policy for state legislatures across 15 states. He joins us on Kaleidoscope S4IG Let's Talk today with some insights on Sri Lanka's journey thus far and the one further ahead. Welcome, Sujit. So good to have you on the show. Now that Sri Lanka has reached a staff-level agreement with the IMF, and in September there's a Japan aid group meeting planned, does this augur well for Sri Lanka?
Yes, so that's a huge accomplishment. This is the first step in terms of Sri Lanka getting back on track and reaching some level of economic equilibrium. The IMF agreement is crucial because that's going to signal to the international lending community that Sri Lanka is under the supervision and will be held accountable in terms of their economic decisions, which will lead to the flow of international capital to Sri Lanka.
Looking at where Sri Lanka is right now, what would the IMF terms and conditions be for that final bailout, even though we've now got this staff-level agreement?
We have something like 1.5 million public sector employees in Sri Lanka, and that number has doubled in the last 15 years. So that area is going to be an area of focus in terms of reducing those numbers. Then we have over 500 state-owned enterprises, which most of them very unprofitable and rife with corruption and mismanagement. So there will be a focus on disinvestment, privatizing, listing on the Colombo Stock Exchange, and basically looking to make them profitable. Obviously, another area will be the subsidies that will be given in terms of electricity and energy. Those will be other areas that will see a focus where the IMF will enforce some conditions and force the government to get back on track in terms of its budget situation.
Looking at the decisions made roughly in the last 3 months, do you think we are on the right track?
Yes. So what is important is for the government of Sri Lanka to instill confidence. Instill confidence in the people of Sri Lanka, the voters. Instill confidence in the private sector in Sri Lanka, and importantly, instill confidence in international lenders and international investors. Without this confidence, Sri Lanka will not be able to advance to the next level. So how do you get about doing that? The main way is to come up with a team that is data-driven, competent, and driven by technical expertise, and have a plan that is both pragmatic and also viable and based on evidence-based policy, as opposed to some ad hoc decisions. So if Sri Lanka can present that to all these different sectors, to the voters, to the private sector, and to the international lending community, that will instill confidence, and that's where Sri Lanka can progress.
If you did take a SWOT analysis of Sri Lanka right now, what would you say?
Yes, so Sri Lanka has incredible potential. You've got human capital potential, you've got natural resources. So how does Sri Lanka leverage those assets? The key part is ensuring that you have evidence-based policy actions, competent technical individuals running those programs, and making sure that you actually reach as many of the most vulnerable and ensuring that they are not excluded from participating in the economy. One of the other key ways, and I've been thinking about this for a while, is how can Sri Lanka take advantage of the second largest state economy, the most industrialized state in India, which is Tamil Nadu. You've got a 310 billion GDP sitting 20 miles from Sri Lanka's borders. How does Sri Lanka tie into those global supply chains and be part of that $310 billion GDP? And that's going to be a catalyst for growth across Sri Lanka. So that's one aspect of how you leverage these natural resources and the human capital that Sri Lanka has.
So one, we are talking about bridging that trust deficit, and secondly, we are looking at using our human resources and the talent we have and putting it in the right place. We have potential, but whether we use it right is another matter. They are truly man's best friend, aren't they? And our doggies deserve only the best. On Life in 60s, Krisanthi Pereira, a dog lover who gives our four-legged friends just that and more, with homemade treats, birthday cakes and lots of love from the Bakery. All proceeds go towards feeding strays, sterilization, vaccination and medical care.
I started making dog treats approximately 15 years ago because I had 2 dogs and I couldn't find anything nutritious to buy for them. On a trip back home to Melbourne, one of my close friends, Priya, introduced me to some snacks she had made for her 2 dogs. When I came back, I tried them out and my dogs loved them. I sourced the best quality human-grade ingredients because I believe in keeping my dogs as healthy and happy as possible. And if you buy the best, there will be fewer problems in the future. No preservatives are added because I don't want my dogs to become sick due to something I have made for them. Proceeds from sales go towards a daily feeding round of dogs and cats, plus sterilizing, vaccinating and medical care when necessary. Apart from this, I help a few groups who work with community animals, and I would love to increase my assistance to them as they are doing an absolutely amazing job and they deserve all the help we can give them.
We'll be back next Friday, and until then, here's our Kaleidoscope takeaway. A healthy outside starts from the inside.